Welcome back to Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots. So yeah, now that we met Drebin, we have access to his shop, so let's take a look at our guns. We have a pistol, we have an M4 custom, we have the stun knife.
The ninja mold knife.
Yes. We have the Playboy Playboy magazine. Alright.
The GSR.
Okay. So Drebin's shop. I already gave myself through safe file editing infinite Drebin points, which is basically the game's currency. Which
DP.
Yes, DP Drebin points.
And every time you buy something, the fucking monkey rejoices.
Yes. Not only can you buy.
Very happy for you.
Not only that you can buy the guns from him, you can also buy ammunition. So basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get myself a sniper rifle. Because I love those.
It's not just any sniper rifle, recognize that, it's a Mosin Nagant.
This is an M&S sniper rifle.
That's the one that the White Death used against the Soviets.
Ah, you're aware of...
It's very famous as a story, so...
Oh, yeah.
I'm very surprised no one tried to make it an action movie adaptation.
You know, honestly, how cool would it have been if you actually can encounter him in a Metal Gear Solid 3 campaign?
Okay, inserting it as a war here, it's another, in a video game, it's a bit of another story. I'm talking more of a biopic movie.
Mm-hmm. In the meantime, you can see on the bottom left corner that Sonny is reading something. Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite features in the game. The fact that you can pause the game at any moment and use the cam into the plane to see how Sonny's doing.
Which is also to showcase the fact that, despite being in the middle of a war zone, Snake still can potentially find the time to check if she's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good papa that way.
Yeah,
very, very busy.
Yeah, Vanessa usually, whenever Vanessa is watching me play this, whenever I feel like playing it and shit, because Vanessa doesn't play these games, but she loves watching me play them. Vanessa usually likes to joke that Snake's the daddy and Otacon's the mommy.
Yeah, no, okay, let's be honest, Snake would definitely wear the pants in the relationship.
Definitely.
Whereas Otacon is the good stay-at-home mommy who supports the hubby from the field.
They See, they even work together they even work together and everything.
So how much Snake Otacon fanfiction is there?
Enough. Even though both of them, even though we have direct confirmation from the games themselves that both of them are straight, that doesn't matter. As Shira likes to say, yeah, that won't stop shippers. So.
Does when's that ever stop?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
From what I've
listen,
seen,
if I like a ship, I'll ship it. Even like the Omni ship is a great ship, for example.
As for me, I personally ship Snake with Meryl or Samus.
I prefer submarines.
What? oh my god.
Also, Isabel and Doomguy are not a ship, they are just besties.
They're just friends. This is why I say that Doomguy is more fitting for Samus, because like I said, by the time of Metroid Dread, you can definitely convince me that, Samus has learned a thing from him.
Now, she's an accidental gay icon.
Ah, okay.
I see that you are a manga fan of quality, Shiroi.
Yes.
Oh god. You know the funny thing is, they legit did not know she was a girl, but
That's what makes it better, to be honest.
I'll give them credit, they have not walked that back, though.
So yeah, as you progress through the game, you can actually see some of the buildings starting to crumble because of how old they are.
In real time.
Not to mention, there's a war going on outside, so
it's
yeah.
similar to your average Gears of War set piece. You just have to
basically.
The war zone while something unique potentially is happening, like a building that is falling down, some particular soldiers getting killed like that.
Yeah, basically. This game came out in the same year as Gears of War 2, in fact, and 2 years after the first Gears. So
Kojima didn't want to use, well, okay, I was speaking something else, ignore me.
Well, the thing is, for a game like this, it makes sense to incorporate the shoulder button shooting mechanics.
I was thinking about the engine, but if I recall correctly, it was another...
No.
Something else.
The Fox engine was only used in MGS5 and Pro Evolution Soccer games.
Yeah.
And the Pachink slot game.
Also survival.
Oh right, I usually tend to block that game out of my memory. So
that's mostly because they recycled assets. With
yeah.
So they're
I usually
easy to-
excuse me. I usually like to pretend that game doesn't exist. So
I mean, considering
Which
its
one
setting,
survived with the Pachink slot game?
considering the setting, it might as well. Considering it makes it all down.
cutscene.
Which one? Yeah. Oh, one of the 8 million of them.
I guess I'll give the Pachink slot game credit. It was a good look at what a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake could look like. Before we actually got one.
Oh great. All right.
Yeah.
So for as much as I love this game, this is actually one of those things that I will definitely not defend.
We have mostly skipped interaction with his character in the previous game, but let's assure him or one of his ancestors have actually been there all along.
Yeah, this is actually something that is very off-brand for both Metal Gear and even Kojima himself, because Kojima never, as at least to my knowledge, has never done toilet humor before or since this game, and
Yeah,
it's
there
I don't
was.
I don't mind the joke of him being caught with his pants down like that, but they keep milking the fact that he has like diarrhea or something.
yeah.
Pedro has never done toilet humor. Are we gonna forget that you can literally get pissed on in Metal Gear Solid 2?
Well, okay, fine,
Like
sure.
I said, this character can show up as early as the first Metal Gear Solid.
Well, yeah, true.
Okay.
He's the one that's patrolling Snake's cell.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that then, Jova. Like, yes, there was that moment in MGS2, but it was just a moment. This is going to become a running gag, believe it or not, and it's not funny. I have no idea why is this even here.
Like I said, it has been a running gag since the first Metal Gear Solid game. Not in a sense to justify it, but more in a sense of the reason why Snake has nodded is because he's recognizing this character. We just unfortunately did not actually make our rounds so we can actually, had a talk with the said character.
Are we sure that he Are we sure that he recognizes that character in that very moment? I know he will
It's
later.
from the smell,
but-
Jova. Again, he smells the barrel and he nods, in acknowledgement.
True, yeah, there was that bit where that guy was on the toilet too. I don't know if Pedro showed that moment, but I will say this. I'm not all too surprised it came to this point. Look, I've said it before. Kojima is definitely something of a mad genius. That being said, like I mentioned with Metal Gear Solid 2 or with Death Stranding, when you let this man go unchained, you're getting a whole ton of Kojima unrestrained, which can yield great things, but they can also lead to some crappy stuff. I'm not gonna lie.
Literally.
Well, the thing is, he was unchained in Death Stranding, but Death Stranding didn't have any toilet humor of any kind, aside from.
Death Stranding.
You can. Like they use his piss to make guns, but that's. I don't consider that the same thing.
Death Stranding, I argue, also has the thing that it has much little comedy, even none at all.
I heavily disagree with that, but whatever.
Much less than this franchise.
Well, yeah, true, but it does have it, though.
This is what I mean, Again, it's instead the idea of having, Metal Gear wanting to be equal in part super serious and having outlandish kind of humor,
Anyway, if I may, when it comes to Death Stranding, I'm not saying that all of his problems are toilet humor. What I'm saying is Kojima Unrestrained has always yielded some of the more iffier games. Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 4, and Death Stranding, where he has pretty much no restraint. I feel like Kojima definitely works best when he does have some level of restraint to the stories, or at least, possibly somebody who says, Mr. Kojima, you are a brilliant mind, but that is not a good idea.
I think it's more so that maybe co-writers, not necessarily. I think the main idea is that because remember when it came to, although to be fair, he did have Shiyamura co-write this with him. To be fair, I guess. Whereas with Death Stranding, if I remember correctly, I think he was the only writer on that. Let me double check.
It's
That may be
it's like I can imagine the critique of each game. MGS2. Hideo, do you think maybe limiting the main character to 2 hours might piss people off? Or MGS4, excuse me sir, but making the game 70% movie kind of makes buying the game not worth it. People could just watch the film on YouTube. And as for Death Stranding, sir, maybe making a package delivery simulator isn't the most.
Oh, okay. For for Death Stranding, he had both his already frequent collaborator writers on MGS, Shuya Murata, who also co-wrote this game with him, and Kenji Yano. So he did have his usual co-writers for Death Stranding as well. I'm guessing Shuya Murata probably was one of the ones who followed him into the new Kojima Productions.
Again, the thing I've noticed is just that the games where he's the least restrained for whatever reasons, while they do have great moments, also tend to have some of those not so great moments too. Let me put it like this with Kojima. He is a very innovative guy, and that can yield a lot of success. However, that innovation left unchecked can also lead to him doing stuff that may not feel like it works as well for a game. Case in point, Metal Gear Solid 4 definitely being more of a movie than a game. Now, again, I'm somebody who overall likes the story despite my issues with it, so at the very least that doesn't bug me as much. But I can get it bugging the typical gamer who, well, wants to play the dang
Oh,
thing.
sure, I understand that. Like, it's one of those things. For me, it's one of those things where it's just like, I at the very least appreciate the fact that someone that he's willing to take those risks, because it's like they usually say, Jova, like tomorrow can be your lucky day, and you will never know unless you're taking those chances. You know?
That is true. And speaking of which, one thing I do want to give Metal Gear Solid 4 credit, I feel like it was... Okay, I can't say for sure if it was, but it feels in a lot of ways like a blueprint for how a lot of games of the 8th gen would function, because, well, yeah, okay, don't get me wrong, 7th gen games were kind of there with a lot of how they function here and there, but this feels like, you know, almost like it's on par with 8th gen games in terms of their format, how they would structure things, and the interactive environment. Again, not to say that we didn't have other 7th gen games like this, but this feels like it took it to the next step. Also,
Pedro, you're starting to slip into Dark Side Phil mode.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. Unlike Dark Side Phil, I'm not trying to blame the game for it. So
that guy was like the modern day George Wood.
you know the sad. What I find interesting about that is that despite everything, despite him not not being a particularly great gaming YouTuber, and the fact that he's also had his own fair share of controversies, he's still going on. So because I guess he does have a fan base that is enough for his...
People just genuinely are entertained to see him fucking up, to the point where someone actually speculating if he's just doing it on purpose these days.
I mean,
You also have to keep in mind, he is part of the very, very old guard. Like, let me put it like this. He is from the era wherein just putting up a Let's Play video could net you a ton of views on YouTube. Like, nowadays... Let's Plays are a dime a dozen, and they're not nearly as easy a meal ticket. Like, I'm not kidding. Back then, you could just put up a footage of somebody...
Again, PewDiePie was the #1 subscribe YouTube for a very long time for a good reason.
Exactly. But back in the earlier days, you know, back when you had to divide parts of YouTube into 15 minutes or shorter...
Please, I remember it when it was 10 minutes.
Same.
Dark days. Regardless, though, back in the old Wild West days, just putting up game footage was, like, considered gold for a lot of people. Like, and, you know, just having someone talking over that could get you a lot. Because, you know, for one thing back then, it was a lot harder to preview a game. Like, again, nowadays, way easier to do that sort of stuff. But back then, you know, gamers wanted to see a game in action as well a way they could, and that exposed them to a lot of YouTubers back then. Like, let me put it like this. In perspective, I wouldn't be surprised if we would have been a much bigger thing had we started in that era, because, like, that sort of stuff is, again, the stuff you see of a lot of commentating groups now.
Part of the reason why the whole Let's Play thing died down in the first place was because YouTube wasn't keen on investor reactions to it.
Yeah.
Gee, what a shocker.
So they actively started to hide them.
I mean,
There's a couple of different factors going on at the same time. One, the problem that the advertisers and investors had, which made the YouTube crack down more on the Gone.
I will argue, streamers playing games, that's still technically a Let's Play. So it's not like Let's Plays don't exist anymore.
Well,
I feel like
difference
the
is like-
format is very different, and the viewing
Yeah,
experience is
it is.
different.
I don't know.
Also-
To me, it still boils down to the same thing. Just the camera of the person is on the screen, honestly.
Oh,
Also,
no. Like,
they're
the
not-
format is... Sorry, go on to you.
Their number one, subscriber, YouTuber with most subscribers. Again, PewDiePie got his own Star controversy because of him being an idiot,
Oh.
So they quickly...
No. Actually, you can go on. Oh, Sunny is trying to cook again. Hopefully, this time she'll make better eggs. All right, go on. Go on, too.
Oh, sorry. My point being, because of a series of different factors, the paradigm shifted towards, videos of people that had to adapt towards, stuff like these policies of heavy copyright, advertiser-friendly stuff, which naturally led to be podcasts instead. Because
Sure.
those are actually the new hot thing that actually,
All right, let me just mention
and
something.
people talk about it.
Oh, hold on. Let me shoot that thing first.
Eh.
Okay, Shira.
Does that
Grenade?
save you?
Mine?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Pedro.
Okay, so I'm going to throw back to one thing you said in our final part of Metal Gear Solid 1, where you asked, and I quote, okay, so when does Meryl die? Well, it's time for you to finally get, because, that question tells me that you apparently really like Meryl, so you can look forward to a couple minutes from now then.
Yay!
Alright.
But anyway, again, my point simply being that, it was a series of
Way
different...
different from how the format used to be back then. Like, let me put it like this. Sometime... Yeah?
You want to restart from the beginning because you dropped in the middle, so we started in only the half part.
Okay. He was right, though. Like, even our format is incredibly different from how the format of Let's Plays were back in the day. Like, a lot of times, those would just veer off topic. Like, it would legit just be someone talking about legit just anything over gameplay. Secondly, also, not nearly as structured and oriented. Sometimes they could legit just be all over the place. And another
I mean, it was
time...
kind of difficult with the time limit to actually organize this kind of thing,
Yeah.
especially for bigger games.
Again, say what you
Exactly.
want. Say what you want, about the people involved with it, but the ones that actually, created Game Grumps and managed to actually make it work with what they had.
Uh-huh.
I guess.
Just talking for a, proper business.
Oh, sure.
Regardless of the quality.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Theo, don't worry.
In regards to Darkside Phil, to give humanity credit, he's not really making big money off his YouTube stuff anymore because of several stuff he got into trouble with himself. Just check out Down the Rabbit Hole. They chronicled
Oh,
that
Yeah.
very well.
that it just covers one part because stuff has happened in the meantime. My favorite bit was very recently when he tried to play Tears of the Kingdom, and comparison between
God.
the film is leaving a comparison between him and VTuber Watson Amelia, proving once again that 2D anime girls are far superior than 3D people.
Let me put it like this. He may be making some money, but he's still constantly in debt because he put himself into debt with that stupid WrestleMania gotcha
Yeah,
game overall.
that's mostly his fault, whatever happens to him. But anyway. Knock knock.
Open up a door, it's Rio with the pom-pom, come and Spain the sea.
Surprise!
Grandpa, take your meds. You've got it here a long time.
Drop your weapon!
Oh, there he is. I know his name, but I
Doesn't
think
this
it's
give
gonna
me
be
Johnny.
a sense of deja vu?
Johnny Sasaki, but I think he's gonna show up soon enough, his name, and who is voiced by.
Here. Easy now.
Yeah, you totally have got the legendary Solid Snake on the ropes, bud.
Clearly.
Don't move. You haven't even taken the safety off, rookie.
Call back.
Careful.
Okay.
Rookie.
Remember? Because Meryl also didn't take the safety off in MGS1.
But again, this is also the guy that Meryl knocked out on escaping herself too.
Tail, that's kind of...
Sorry?
Sorry. Go on.
I was talking about the first game, Pedro.
Sure.
How the hell did you ever survive 10 years?
Don't move.
Hi. Did we enter Final Fantasy Spirit Within?
Real big.
No, thank God, no.
This
Jesus.
team looks like suspiciously like that one. Ow.
Jesus.
Lower your weapon.
Huh. That voice sounds
5
familiar.
words to say to a guy who has one of your colleagues
Trying to think
by the
funny if I were
throat.
Literally.
Fox.
Fox sound? What?
I guess a classic never dies. Dramatic and
Meryl Silverberg! Still, once again played by Debbie Mae West.
Meryl.
Is that you?
Yep.
No, it's Alakon.
It's been 10 years, Meryl. How have you been?
I have a husband now.
What's wrong with your
Shirai, wait, that will be... Just wait on that. Not yet. Not yet.
So,
The snake already has a husband. We know this.
True. But she doesn't. She's still single.
What the
I
mission?
was talking about Snake.
Oh, right. I thought you were... Sorry.
You're my...
oh yes, he got married to Samus, I guess.
Remember, Shirai, Snake is married to Samus according to Jova's fanfiction, so...
And according to that interaction and brawl, but I digress.
Now, he,
Yeah, we'll-
Samus, and Otacon have a polycule.
Didn't you get the message?
You know what?
by
That
now?
Well,
works.
also, okay, hold on.
Commander!
Yes, this guy's his name is
Thank you.
Akapa.
This is Rat Patrol
poor
Team
guy.
01.
Rat Patrol Team 01. Also, apparently J.J. Abrams took over for this shot, I guess.
Thank you for that pose.
You can have
I mean, might as well.
Dude's really into it.
Japan loves the Kamen Rider stuff, so...
I will say this, one thing I always did find weird about the Metal Gear series was like, it seemed like Kojima was definitely shaping up something between Snake and Meryl, but then, well... What the heck? Oh,
Usual
God, that
bowel
again.
movement.
Anyway, as I was saying,
I already don't like toilet humor, but go on, Joa.
diarrhea.
one thing I always found weird about what Kojima did was like, it seemed like he was but then Meryl never came back for 2, and then they aged up Snake, so yeah, now it would be too awkward for them to be in a couple.
Also,
I've already told you, Jova, like, I've always interpreted it that it's a Bond girl, where, you know, Bond always separates from the Bond girl at the end, in between movies, dynamic thing.
also, your mileage may vary what I'm about to say, but
Maybe a scientist.
not to say that, you know, that they're about to die, don't worry, but the other 2 companions of Meryl, they really don't have too much of a personality.
No, they're mostly just there for the sake of, you know, making sure it's a proper full patrol.
This is why I jokingly compare to Spider-Man Spirits Within, because it's not exactly the same, but we're getting
Alright, this is
there.
actually important, so
Yeah.
listen to this. So let's see what Meryl has been up to all these years.
Here, I'll introduce you to the team. That's Ed, our radio man.
Basically, for those who haven't been keeping track, it's been 9 years since Metal Gear Solid 1.
Giant is Jonathan.
Oh wait. Funny. Very
Jonathan is played by James C. I don't recognize that
Although-
name.
Go around his back.
Although actually, Pedro, Snake says it was 10 years since he said.
Well,
how did?
MGS1 takes
says,
place, but MGS1 takes place in 2005, whereas this takes place in 2014, though.
Commander!
Yeah, but the script says 10 years because Snake
Then
asked
15
Sokka about how he survived for 10 years.
I guess he's rounding it up again.
Okay.
That is still not funny.
No, it is not.
Anyway.
Go away, please.
I get
Thank
it.
you.
Kojima can do some crass humor, but it never lasted this long
Someone taught
before.
him well. Certainly
Alright, now let's actually focus on this.
who suddenly disappeared.
Yeah, about that.
About that, Meryl.
Me?
Commentary on crap.
I never gave up on you. Or on Foxhound. Back then, I just wanted you to accept me.
Yeah, I don't really like this idea that Snake just up and left Meryl, especially with how it really seemed like they were gonna be a thing in Metal Gear Solid 1.
Put the past behind.
It's more
Like,
of a
and
case that they genuinely have to justify why she didn't show up for the events of 2.
Well, Joe, but sometimes relationships don't work out. You're making it seem like players are not allowed to have relationships not work out. I mean...
That's not the problem. The problem is, like, well, this feels very retconish, and it's like, well, I mean, no, not retconish. It legit is a retcon. It's just that it doesn't feel like it works with how the characters were established, and I do get it. The obvious reason for this is, well, Kojima never planned for a game to actually explain why Meryl wasn't around from the get-go, and, like, granted, I can attribute that blame to Metal Gear Solid 2, but again, I still did not really like the idea of aging Snake up, which pretty much would absolutely blockade the relationship from even...
Anyway, can we maybe focus on what
It's a shame.
They've implemented a system that monitors in real time every single soldier engaged in combat action.
Oh, I know what it is, Meryl, don't worry. It's the, the position tracker on your cell phone.
Each individual soldier has been fully ID tagged with nanomachines injected into their bodies for that purpose.
That episode uses bloody everything in this franchise.
Oh, wait till we get to Revengeance.
There you go.
And their real-time personal data 24 hours a day.
Relevant. Well, there's it allows for more relevant commentary. So fine by me.
What commentary about pissing?
No, I'm not talking about the piss. Talking about what she's talking about right now, dude. Focus, please.
Technology that allows anyone to get all of your data into constantly 24 hours. And look, because for a long time I questioned myself about because someone raised the point also for the Pokemon Movie 7 podcast. It's not technically the idea that, you have something to hide and someone, want to have not information about you, because by that logic, everyone has something on that caliber. It's more just the idea of, your privacy being non-existent to begin with. Just the concept.
Unless they agree to implement the system, PMCs aren't permitted to send troops anywhere.
And I guess to the world's credit, this is strictly a thing with soldiers in this new
but because now there's the world economy, soldiers do compose a lot of the population.
Yeah.
Yep. I guess want to keep your eye on these potential super weapons now that they're enhanced with nanomachines.
The only thing that's missing from being a Starship Trooper reference is them mentioning that, citizenship is granted by joining the military.
This also helps Snake, and by extension, the fans who have been here since the beginning and are now playing this as their big finale, like me, to be right there with Snake, where we just see all this technology advancing around us, and the world is so different now than it was back in the day. So, like Snake, we also feel our age.
Joining the enemy or refusing to fight or committing humanitarian atrocities.
Imagine that ever happened.
that would never happen. That's ridiculous.
Military vehicles without the proper system ID. It's true for every piece of equipment out there. So even if the PMCs tried to mount a terrorist attack or coup d'etat, their weapons and equipment would automatically be locked down. They wouldn't be able to move, attack, or engage in combat of any kind. And there's more. All the data on their position, personnel, and combat strength is leaked to us by the nanomachines. Even if they manage to...
It's not just a matter of the data of your identity. Your freedom of literal existing is in jeopardy.
Yep.
And the Patriots are behind this.
No. What are you talking about?
Never mind.
Again, it's supposedly their code name in a particular code system.
It's a code system. No, it's because, remember too, like the Patriots have ears and eyes everywhere at this point. So
I get it. I was more talking to the fact that it means as meaning, but the wording.
Hold on, this is actually important. Look at Trebin.
Yeah. Just grabbing.
Who's sitting can launder ID guns. The system does have holes.
There can't be more than a few hundred of those gun launderers.
What was he doing in
It's
Greenland?
not like they can affect the entire PMC war machine.
Yeah, nobody searches Greenland.
Liquid would have had to register as a PMC in the system.
Not ever since the Iceland incident.
His PMCs might even exceed the U.S. military in terms of numbers, but as long as they're registered, their soldiers' activities are constantly being monitored.
There's a
So long
liquid.
as the U.S. responds immediately when Liquid makes his move, we can take them down by force.
By force,
Hopefully.
When RSOC heard about Liquid's plans, they sent us to sniff around the PMC.
So yeah, Meryl and her squad are actually after Liquid as well.
What a coinky dink. We should form a band for this.
Conduct, disobeying orders, contract violations. We act as backup for the system by monitoring the soldiers. PMC
Of course
You know,
do.
just in case.
Just in case. Just in case
These
this...
poor fuckers are already massively screwed up, and they also have an extra gun pointed at their heads.
You can't trust anyone. Not even yourself or the 3 people behind you.
Exterminated like rats. But we're smarter than that. We've been mingling with the PMCs. And after 3 months of searching God knows
All we
how
have to
many
do is say
battlefields,
Lalelu, and then their laughter at such a ridiculous name is so hard, we can just do whatever we want while they're distracted.
Perfect plan, Dwebs.
when we reported that we'd found Liquid, our superiors ordered us to provide the UN investigators with intel. But I didn't know it'd be you.
Didn't the Colonel tell you he was sending me?
Colonel? Don't tell me it's Campbell.
Yeah.
Of course he is.
So yeah, you might remember that Meryl is of course the Colonel's niece. Apparently they've had a falling out in the intervening years.
Expect me to work with my uncle?
We're going to find out more about this later.
Oh, if only it was the only thing. I throw my chair in rage.
Yeah, one thing that I also really like is how much more muscular Meryl is compared to how she was in the first game.
I mean, she was still a rookie, so...
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes sense. Have we calmed down now?
Yeah, seriously.
She literally needed to vent out some anger
That
there.
was literally the moment of Stephen Dorff in the Alone Dark movie.
Oh, no.
Fucking no!
Let's see what she says. Let's just say the Colonel hasn't told us one thing last time we saw him.
Oh, she told me.
Why are you still calling him Uncle?
You're still calling him Colonel.
He's your father.
As far as I'm concerned, we're still uncle and niece. I will never forgive that womanizing piece of shit.
Meryl.
Oh.
He, remarried.
Oh boy.
His new wife's about my age. I hear she's even got
Awkward.
It's as if he's given up on making up with his own daughter.
That's not...
No, okay, now I want to say something before anyone starts saying this. Meryl's character arc is about her realizing that this is not the right position to have. She will her arc is to getting over this thing. Don't worry. This is not going to be how she is without.
Honest. While I do get the purpose, I still don't like it. I don't like the source of it. I really don't think it was a good idea what Kojima has in store, but that is for when we actually see what is the cause of all this. For now, we've got to deal with frogs.
You will learn true facts about the frog.
Crap. This is
Ha ha ha. He said, oh crap. I'm laughing.
You know, okay, I'm sorry, I can't concentrate on the drama when you've got a guy whose whole character is bowels.
Yeah. Don't worry, Liz, I'm
Just
there
trying
with
to
you.
go for it with this guy, but again, I feel like there could have been better ways to portray it.
And again, because the other two team members are literally walking
See-
bricks with no substance, Meryl's entire team, you know, when it's built up of being like this, doesn't really. Oh no.
See, here's the thing. Like, I'm okay with him being goofy. That's fine. Just make him goofy and like he's kind of a klutz and blah blah blah. You can just do that.
Moving out.
Like, you don't have to throw in the toilet humor. You can just make him be an incompetent soldier, and that's it. That will work just fine. As like you didn't need to put this in.
Let me also mention this.
thing-
This particular humor, you find it more common in in also a couple of particular anime series because it tries to be more outlandish, over the top, and potentially something stupid. So I think the major problem is that it just doesn't gel with the setting here rather than its mere existence.
It's interesting you say.
sad
It's interesting you say that, Joe, because it's because of all the stuff we've been talking about that there's a good amount of MGS fans who still argue this game shouldn't have been made. Because they should have just kept it at the ending of MGS2, like Kojima originally intended.
Well, hey, it's like I said, this game is like the Dual Destinies to MGS2's Apollo Justice in the sense where, while this was made to finally address what people wanted out of MGS2, the execution... Okay, this game, I recall, was lauded at start, but again, with time, has come people starting to scrutinize, analyze, and wonder if maybe some things were done better in MGS2 than MGS4. Again, while I have my qualms with this game, I will still say that I definitely prefer this as the ending to Snake Story than Metal Gear Solid 2, like, by far. That being said, even I'll admit that in hindsight, there are some things that I wonder if maybe could have been done better, although I'll say this. Just because we have stupid poop thing, that's not something I attribute to the fact that we got this game, because... Look, we could have gotten this in like any game or whatnot.
Yeah, like I said, these things were also in all of the other Metal Gear Solid games.
It's just that they got out of control with this game.
Sure,
And look,
I will say this. I don't say this though. I'm not entirely certain if I'm comfortable with that comparison because I can actually enjoy Metal Gear Solid 2, unlike Apollo Justice.
Well, again, other people could say that they can enjoy Apollo Justice or Dual Destinies or whatever. Not everyone's the same. The point is, though, I'm talking mainly about the fan reactions overall. Like, again, that's not even to say... Wow.
That was good.
Anyway, though, that's not even to say anything about the quality of each game. I'm just saying that, again, they mirror each other in the sense that one was made as the sequel to the controversial previous game, and said sequel was loved at first, but then over time, fans started to scrutinize. What's so funny, guys?
All these guys who just jump around like frogs only to get shot down like flies.
Well, there's why do you think we call them frogs? Go on.
That's kind of the point also there is in terms of gameplay. When they technically want to assume a position of better for find you out by walking on walls and everything. That's also a double-edged sword because if you actually manage to spot them, you can easily gun them down.
Basically, it's a flash grenade. Sorry. Ow, indeed. Where was I? Yeah. Well, for me, it's one of those things where, like, I don't necessarily have a problem with things not turning out as expected, as long as, like I personally don't mind. I personally don't mind the fact that certain things didn't go like the happy route and stuff like that, because I feel like it's also one of those things where it's just like if we keep if we go into a point where we demand writers only write what we want and never at any point keep an open mind on anything, that's basically just like one of those things where it's just like you're not even interested in creative writing, you just want to be pandered to.
One thing we should remember, though, is that there needs to be a good balance. Like, yes, a writer shouldn't always just blindly do what the fandom wants. However, a writer shouldn't go out of his way to not give the fans what they want. Like, for example, maybe the fans actually do want the hero to make a triumphant return, but then the writer just does an other thing that goes, oh, nope, actually, your hero does nothing. He mopes around for the entirety of the plot because that's specifically what the creator wants to do. And like we mentioned, there is that rare example where sometimes the business exec in the suit is there to realize that, hey, if the creator just does what they want to do willy-nilly, that can sometimes affect reception. Like, I'll just put it like this. just as much as writers are not obligated to do what fans want, fans are not obligated to like something just because it's what the writer wanted to do either.
Oh, sure, I understand that. My thing with that is that I feel like there's also one of those things where I feel like there's a lot of attitude going on right now, where people are more concerned about what they specifically want over just trying to appreciate a story for what it is.
There's always going to be someone like that, honestly. I wouldn't say it's the majority. I'd say that's the exception, not the rule.
Sure.
Anyway, in regards to the Frog Soldiers, you may notice that they all sound rather feminine.
It's not even that. Actually, Joel, I think the more distinct kind of thing is the fact that they scream very painfully when you actually gun them down. Something that the games until this point really did not portray that much. Sure, they still conveyed the idea of someone dying, potentially having a painful grunt. But this time they're almost blood screaming. Because again, I get the idea. What Kojima wanted to emphasize is to give more of an impression of the horrors of the war or a global conflict. And again, you can also see from the presentation. It was also the time where the FPS genre was the supreme king. All those brown, the brown reigning was also because of that. Also, the endless Call of Duties and Battlefield that talk about also the war on terror potentially. Or Russian invasion, that was also the most ideal scenario at that point. So I get the idea he wanted to make a parallel to that and also to portray war in this more realistic manner, including when you shoot someone, it's not pretty. Simple as that.
Basically.
So,
I will. Go on, Shuri.
So, in addition to the toilet humor, Kojima's trying to make you feel shitty as well.
I would
like to remind you that while he was working at Konami, the alien nickname that his colleagues were giving to him was Ojama, from the expression Ojama Shimazu. Sorry, go on.
Well, hold on, Shiro. You're asking that about specifically what?
The screaming.
Oh, the screaming. Well, that's just they're being killed, so they're screaming in pain. I mean,
I will say this, I feel like it ties into what Kojima tries to do with the main enemy platoon of this game. Like, I'll say this, it feels like he was trying to compensate for not giving the Cobras much character by giving the main bosses of this game more character, but I do feel like he oversteps it with a little bit into the...
We're not there yet, I was just talking
we're not there yet. She was talking about the frogs.
I was... What I meant was the frogs are an extension of that unit, and I do feel like when you mentioned, Tio, how it does feel like he emphasizes the pain, I do feel like that's sort of an extension of how Kojima's really gonna show how war is hell with the soldiers it creates.
I don't know, all they're doing is screaming. If that enough is it already does that, I don't know. I feel
more
like
I think my little joke is being taken way too
also more likely those touches rather than something as evident, Pedro. That's what I'm saying.
Also, for something quite important, can I have a time, please?
Go to 44.
Okay.
one thing and there's also the fact that let me explain something about my earlier point though. For example, I'm okay with Snake not being the main character in 2 because
44.
Because Kojima did that first.
Yeah,
because Kojima actually had a good point to make with that specific decision. It's not like it was made just for the hell of it. And
I do get why people didn't. Oh, sorry, go on.
And well, actually, no, not 4-4 yet. It has to do with the fact that you being made to be fool. It's one of those cases where I feel like it was a good way to manipulate the audience in a way that felt productive.
Okay,
go on.
Get ready and go.
There you go.
Carry on.
Because I feel like I said in our MGS2 run, I love me a good gotcha moment when I'm the one being, got, and I feel like MGS2. Okay, I'm okay with Snake not being the protagonist because this was done for a reason, not just because the writer didn't like Snake or something like that. I'm sorry, Dweebs, what did you say?
He's reacted to what Otacon said about Akiba being knocked out. But there you go. And of
Hey,
course,
just like
yes,
old
shitty
times.
bets. I forgot if, and I know that I didn't mention, but I think someone else did, Pedro.
Snake!
And we did MGS2. I actually agree with your point, even for myself. But then we have to start considering the fact that people are investing money for these products, and not everyone would be perfectly okay to have, have that happening while they actually spend potentially considerable sum of money for them into that.
Like, yeah, everyone does have that right to critique it. Like, again, if they paid money wanting this particular thing, I can't blame them for being upset when that's not delivered on, no matter how well executed this or that
Alright, I
was.
saw Resident Evil, I know what they're supposed to do.
Eh.
No, you're supposed to smoke on those lasers. I know how it works.
No, this is the future now. We've got codes for that stuff now.
Oh,
Hey.
you hear that, Shiroi? It used to be that back in the day we would use a cigarette to get rid of those detection lasers. Now, but now they've got some machine duty-goody
Okay.
to do this shit.
Regardless
I
of
mean-
the
Future is now, old man.
I guess so.
This is a non-smoking area now, but yes, go on.
regardless of sorry, not regardless, but I like that despite wanting to emphasize more the comedy, they still got that moment for Johnny or Akiba to showcase that despite the clumsiness and the party pants humor, he's perfectly capable doing something he's assigned to his team, namely hacking and decoding.
Yeah,
So
so
at the very least, I'm glad that there is that instead of saying, "Oh, he's a complete screw up. He cannot even."
and later on when we learn more about him, we'll actually we'll see a whole new side of him. I'll
So
just
to
say
be
that.
fair, the game is trying to have an arc also for him at the very
It's
least.
like I said, the crapping his pants thing is actually kind of foreshadowing for his arc and that stuff. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I will say though that I do like when he develops. Like,
Sure.
remember.
See, the thing
despite
is,
my issues with
when it comes to his arc, Jova, all they had to do to fix all this stuff is remove the crapping. Like, if just keep him like super
Nervous.
like clumsy and nervous and Charlotte, just remove the toilet aspect, and there you go. That's fine. I will be okay with just him being kind of a screw up. That's fine. Like the only problem I have with Johnny is the toilet humor aspect. That's all
The
I have a
thing-
problem with, really.
One of the sad thing, you could have a joke about him crapping his pants, but just do it once.
Like
When
I
you
said,
do it,
Jova,
like-
I actually did like the idea of the enemy actually catching him with his pants down.
Yeah, it's just that when they kept doing it over and over and over again was the problem.
Yeah.
essentially.
Like like I said, like he's meant to be the comedy relief, so make him goofy and a screw up. That's fine, but you don't have to. Again, the toilet humor is not necessary. The other aspects of his character are enough. Yeah, this this is actually funny because it's actually reliant on him being kind of a ditz. That's fine. That joke works. Like you don't need a toilet. That would be my first. If I was the producer, I would tell Kojima, okay, just keep everything. Just remove the toilet humor because the humor outside of the toilet stuff is fine. You don't need anything else.
Going back to my earlier point about Kojima unrestrained, I think the best way to put it is that when he's unrestrained, it's not like he ever has an inherently bad idea.
Yeah, it's gone.
Just aren't executed
Okay,
the best.
sorry.
You cut out, Jova.
Sorry.
Okay, that was
bad.
it.
Sorry.
Okay, basically, in regards to Kojima unrestrained, I wouldn't even say that he's chock full of bad ideas. I'd say that all of his ideas can at some level be considered good. It's just that when he's unrestrained, they don't always have the best execution.
Shit.
Rud.
Epic slow-mo.
Well, 300 was popular at the time.
Wait, when did 300 come out again?
2007.
Oh, okay.
Badass. Again, this feels moments where Randy Pitchford actually wrote or something.
I can't tell if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Bittersweet, at least for the time this was made.
Alright, was there a time when he wasn't another asshole?
Okay, not an asshole. It's complicated and long. I might explain in a future part.
Sure
The
thing.
nanomachine network inside each unit member's body lets us share each other's senses.
Ew. So you're telling me that you know what this means for the implications? You know, they're all feeling about Johnny shitting his pants.
Is that part of the system too?
No, if that was the case, we would see that happen too. I'm pretty sure the nanomachine.
Well, no, we're talking about just feeling the senses, not actually replicating that.
For a certain someone,
Pretty
it's
much.
not magic to
Weird
play.
thing for the Patriots to add.
Well, they're machines. I get the feeling they're not as a.
Yeah, soldiers at the point are more machine now, man.
Hero.
Hold on.
Never was.
Callback.
Yeah, keep telling yourself that's nice.
That's actually something that's actually very be brought back and leads to one of my all-time favorite moments in the franchise. So keep an eye out for that.
Your body.
Alan, that line gets used.
You're gonna be
Okay,
alright.
a re-recording of it, obviously, but that's a line Snake uses if he wins a battle in Super Bomberman R.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. You mentioned that it's a recycled audio, but yeah, they basically had a couple of quotes used for that.
I don't think it was recycled.
Oh, so we got David Hayter to voice new dialogue. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Konami treat him well. I'll give him that.
It was
I think
part
I
of a
could
marketing
change it, yeah.
campaign of trying to actually having a more of a trying to regain a bit more faith with the players.
One man's blunder can compromise.
I'll
the whole
admit,
team.
when I first
So why
heard
do you
that,
still have him on then?
It's complicated with.
We're short on staff and we need every help we can get, I guess.
I'll admit, when I first heard his name, I honestly thought it would be more Octopus Punish.
Punished octopus.
I think that's one of the code names you can get for one of your soldiers in.
In Phantom Pain, yeah.
Yeah, those tend to be randomized.
Oh, there's a reason for that, but
Animal name and adjective.
I thought you were going to say survive.
isn't it also? Well, I don't know. Saying it would be too spoilers. Pedro.
Hold on. Kodak call.
Oh, it's all that one.
Monicon, I know where Liquid is.
Yeah, I'm confirming the location. It's to the north of where you are. Meryl's really changed.
All right,
hasn't
let's
she,
make
Snake?
this a nice and quick
She's a lot
mission.
more self-assured.
I wonder how much of that has to do with the system. The senses you used to develop through extended training
Oh, there you
and
go.
experience can now be obtained without even working for them.
Remember,
Dragon Ball characters tree.
remember, this is a follow-up from what he also said in MGS2, where even by that game he was already starting to not really approve of this whole thing, where now soldiers don't even have to work at getting good and shit. They can just do all this shit in virtual reality and get all these nanomachines and blah blah.
This is all
back in my day.
Believe it or not, the first soldier portion of Ever Crisis has a similar conflict.
Yeah, this is actually one of the
This
things
is-
that this. Go on.
Think so?
This is actually good stuff, honestly. The implication also that, yes, it gives soldiers technically what they need to function out in the field, but is it really the right way? Like, look at how Meryl's been acting way more aggressive. Yeah, part of that is due to something going on between her and Campbell, but you can also tell that, you know, there's something off about her. And yes,
There you go.
funny
Times have
enough-
changed, Snake. There you go. Times have changed, Jova.
just like Meryl.
It's
Although
also
one-
an ongoing classic, conflict about implanting you with cybernetics, actually change you for the better as a person, or it devours your soul as a result.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
have
I
to-
will say
sorry.
this. One thing also to consider is, in a world where these nanomachines should prepare you for war, why is Akaba clearly not prepared?
Boo. I don't know.
I don't know.
That's not important in any way. whatsoever.
You also have to remember the context, the original context of this game's release. Remember, by this point, fans who started with Metal Gear 1 in 1987, by this point they were... I can't do the math right now. The point is they were over 20 years old, right? As for people like me who started with MGS1 in 1998, by this point I was like... at this point I was a late teen by this point, right? So by bringing up all this aspects, it makes these old fans who are here finally watching their hero go on his final mission, and all old stuff really, and trust me, when we get to chapter 4, this is where everything comes into play, where Kojima literally makes you feel like you're old. Basically, you know the whole Oppenheimer thing where people say, "Oh, you're going to feel the explosions." Well, Kojima is going to make you feel like you're an old person. So,
I mean, he's older, so it's not that bad.
Yes.
However old he makes me feel, he's just older.
all right.
All right then.
See you in the next part, everybody.
Yeah.